up, everybody? This is a kind of a promo video for an event I'm giving called Sound Code. This is a live stream event on Facebook, so you go to Oogie Chris PhD page. It's like a business page you click like, or you look at the events there. Also, this is a live video, so when I have a chance, I'll have the notes placed on it that give you the link specifically to the Facebook event. What is this going to be about? Comes from realizations about voice tone, facial expressions, and body language, and the interconnectedness. The basic theory came from a book called The Secret Universe of Names. That the first initial premise of the book was that every sound has a facial expression associated with it. A smile for like the letter E, or kind of a sensual sound that goes with like ooh, like the letter U, or even more harder syllables like Z and K, and these other sounds, they all have a facial expression that go with them. And so The Secret Universe of Names, that book, talked about basically how you could predict a little bit about somebody's personality based on their name, how it sounds, what kind of facial expression you create just by saying their name. Because they themselves, one of their fondest words, and one of the words that they've said the most, especially as far as having a big impact, we all say the words the or I, and those have big impact, but not as much as your own name. Your name has a much heavier weight in your mind. And so you've said it so many times throughout your life and created a facial expression or a code of facial expressions, because there's many sounds in a name. Like Chris, for example, has k, s. There's 5 sounds. Chris. It's one syllable, so they say, but there's 5 sounds. And that's 5 facial expressions that are smashed together to create the emotional identity, the facial expression identity of anyone named Chris. That's it, And so it's not just limited to your name. That's just a very obvious portal, an obvious gateway into this understanding. It's for all words. And so this event on Sunday, it's at 1 p.m. Pacific time. I'm in Central Time right now, so that's 3 p.m. Central Time. It's an hour plus half an hour Q&A. And I think it's like $27 for the live stream and the recording. So what I just said about that emotional code that's linked to your name, it goes way more important than that. That's not the most important feature about it. That's just an interesting realization that will make it kind of, arouse your curiosity into it. But then you start to add in this next realization. This is the last piece I'll say on this video, is if you do not enunciate every sound in your name, then there's a blurriness to that identity. So your name is coding your nervous system with the facial expression. You have a facial expression for each sound. That requires nervous system to create that facial expression. Muscular contraction doesn't happen otherwise. And it's an expression of a sound and a feeling. It corresponds to a feeling because emotions and feelings result in some of those same facial expressions, like smiling with the letter E. So E has a smile feeling associated with it. It's subtle, it's soft, but you say E hundreds of thousands of times in your life. You say your own name if your name is Brittany or Angie or whatever, Bree. Like, that is going to leave a mark on your identity. Let me make sure I'm in the right lane. So, but if you don't enunciate the syllables, that's also leaving a mark on your identity. If you don't, that's accumulating blurriness. It's accumulating cloudiness and unclarity and vagueness in whatever you're saying, and especially if you apply that to your name, but in all communication, in all words. So the event is specifically going to touch upon the letter D, G, although you make the sound G with G, and and T, 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 d, g. And how some exercises to clarify those letters without kind of looking like a tight ass trying to enunciate every syllable in your words. Some breathing associated with that, because talking is just an exhale with some sound and mouth articulation associated with it. It's a very complex thing, but without exhale there is no talking. Let's say it that way. It absolutely depends on your exhale. And in many ways, especially for like public speaking or singing or reciting mantra. Hold on, this thing just fell. Okay, we'll just leave it right there. For the, what was I saying? The recitation of those things, the exhale is much longer than the inhale. And the exhale largely controls or steers the quality of the voice. Voice quality can only be so good if the breath quality is not that good. If I have like short, shallow, choppy breathing, maybe I'm like a cigarette smoker, or I have nervousness, anxiety, so my ribcage doesn't expand, then the voice can only be so booming. And it doesn't need to be loud, it needs to be of deep conviction. And so to connect to the diaphragm is a very useful thing for speaking, singing, and so on. And so the event will cover some physiology, some breathing, actual mouth exercises, actual words to practice that are on the edge of most people's abilities to enunciate properly. And again, and then the idea, the philosophy of don't be a tight ass about it. It's just going to improve greatly all of your communication, all of your relationships, anything that involves talking, parenting, teaching, making YouTube videos. So you go to Yogi Chris PhD page to sign up for that. I'll put the details in the tabs below and hope to see you there. Namaste.